One of my friends has recently complained to me that she has problems sleeping at night. And while she was saying this, she yawned. So I said, "Oh, looks like you are sleepy. Maybe you should take a rest now." I said, "Yeah, but I actually can't do it because then I won't be able to sleep at night." I said, "But you can't sleep at night. So why don't you just try and have some sleep now?" I said, No, I need to wait till the night comes." A few weeks later, she tells me again she can't sleep at night. So I say, "So why don't you just sleep during the day?" She says, "No, because then I won't be able to sleep at night." I say, "But you are not sleeping at night anyway." And she says, "Yeah, but that can change." A month later, she says, "You know what? I've decided to sleep whenever I feel tired. During the day as well." And you know what? It works. I actually started sleeping at night too. Well, what can I say? She obviously needed to follow her own path to arrive at this conclusion. We both had a laugh and decided that this story definitely deserves its rightful place on our list of the most stupid and illogical things we've ever said or done. Trust me, the list is already very impressive and still growing, and I'm actually a very active, prolific contributor. So in the next videos to come, you might see some examples, some testaments to my stupidity, so keep watching. Anyway, isn't it fascinating how we pride ourselves on being so rational and logical and enlightened, yet we continue to do things that actually make no sense? And if only we could stop and look at the reasons why we do some things, we would probably avoid a lot of hurt and embarrassment. I noticed that when people fight over something, they sometimes get so emotional, so excited, but they actually never stop to check if the argument they are fighting actually was formulated in the first place. And I guess it must be really painful to realize that you've put so much emotion to something that wasn't really there in the first place. But if losing an argument just because you didn't check all the facts beforehand is painful, then imagine how painful it must be to lose your whole life just because you made some wrong assumptions. This Sunday we are meditating Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30. "For it is as if a man, going on a journey, summoned his slaves and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. The one who had received the 5 talents went off at once and traded with them, and made 5 more talents. In the same way, the one who had the 2 talents made 2 more talents. But the one who had received the 1 talent went off and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. Then the one who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 more talents, saying, 'Master, you handed over to me 5 talents. See, I have made 5 more talents.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master.' And the one with the 2 talents also came forward, saying, 'Master, you handed over to me 2 talents. See, I have made 2 more talents.' His master said to him, 'Well done, good and trustworthy slave. You have been trustworthy in a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master.' Then the one who had received the 1 talent also came forward, saying, 'Master, I knew that you were a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you did not scatter seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours.' But his master replied, 'You wicked and lazy slave, you knew, did you, that I reap where I did not sow and gather where I did not scatter? Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and on my return I would have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to the one with the 10 talents. For to all those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. As for this worthless slave, throw him into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." When times are difficult and uncertain, as is the case now, we might think that the best idea, the best solution is just to Have something you can hold on to, something that is 100% sure, something certain. But as we can see in the parable, those that succeeded in the end actually risked everything they had. It did pay off eventually, but they didn't know that at the time. On the other hand, the servant that didn't invest the money, who was sure he wouldn't lose it, actually lost it. People who are interested in magic, fortune telling, are usually very afraid, very insecure about their future, and they believe that there are people, some psychics, who can give them a sense of certainty about their life. God, on the other hand, seldom satisfies our curiosity in this way, but He gives us something else: a steady faith, a deep sense of peace, and inner promptings that tell us to act out of love and not out of fear, even though we may not be sure of the end result. These deep-seated convictions, these values, are something we can hold on to in times of uncertainty, and if we do, we never lose. The worst thing that can happen if you decide to multiply love instead of hiding it is that you may not have this grace, the opportunity to see the fruit of your love. But it doesn't mean that it's not there. It's interesting that the third slave says, "Master, I knew that you were a harsh man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you did not scatter seed." And the master replies, "You knew, did you, that I reap where I did not sow and gather where I did not scatter?" So he basically repeats what the servant says, but for one part. Did you notice that the master doesn't call himself a harsh man? Yet the slave just knows he is harsh. How does he know it? Why is he so sure of that? If the master approved of the risk the other two slaves took, it meant he realized that the money might be lost in the process. So it seems he was more angry at the passivity of the slave and not about the lack of results. Yet how often we don't do anything and just let life pass us by because we just know. We just know that people will hurt us, we know that we are not good enough, and we know that nothing good will ever happen in our lives. But that's the stupid kind of knowledge that actually robs you of your life. A more difficult attitude towards life, but one that is ultimately rewarding, is, I don't know. I don't know if people will hurt me, I don't know if I'm good enough, and I don't know if anything good will ever happen in my life, but you know what? I'm going to give it a try. I still don't know what talent is hidden in me, but I'm just going to dig until I find out. So what if my hands are going to be soiled in the process? Jesus worked with his hands too, and he was never afraid of doing something risky to show somebody his love, because that's the way love is. It's brave, unconventional very often, and surprising. That's just the way it is. And he wants us to do the same. But if you have this image of God that demands perfect results and not perfect trust, you'll be paralyzed. You'll never be able to do anything outside of the box because the fear of consequences and the burden of responsibility will be just too much. And probably at the end of your life, you'll have this sense of terrible regret that you've never actually lived your life. Perhaps you weren't a great sinner, but you weren't a great saint either. You were just too paralyzed by fear to live in any way. If you think that might be your case, fear not, because if you are watching this, it means you are still alive, so you still have the chance to dig out your talents and get the reward even while you are still in the process. I can tell you from my own experience that it's never too late, so if you've been feeling rather passive lately, I really encourage you to actively participate in our meditation this Sunday, 10 p.m. Central European Time. Bye.